Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ. What were you doing? Showing off in the back room?
I'm sorry.
What were you doing? Showing off in the back room?
Yeah. Just for that was it. But it's Friday in the Riv, and I guess the breaking news is I heard this morning that the stenographers or something are very upset with the Biden team because they changed the transcript of the statement, and that has to go into the archive. So again, all the yo-yos that were trying to spin everything like they do with everything it's been revealed again that the Democratic Party and the people lie their ass off. They're all pathological liars. Remember one thing: these are the people that brought you the Steele dossier, that, by the way, even though it was disproven when they said it was real, some of them are still asserting that it's true. This is the same people that said the Hunter laptop was Russian disinformation, even though they knew, and the FBI had already confirmed it was not Russian disinformation. It was, in fact, his laptop. This is the party that said, Obama said, you cling to your guns and Bibles and you're basically malingerers who are worthless, who Hillary called a basket of deplorables and irredeemables. And Joe Biden, who has a history of calling all his enemies names and saying, you don't F with the Bidens. They look down on everybody. And now they tried to spin this one. Joe Biden said it very clearly. He said on a video, he said, the only garbage I see floating around out there are Trump supporters. And then they all jumped in. But as usual, the Democratic Party can't get their facts straight, can't get their story straight. Some people will say, well, he's it was a gaffe. He didn't really mean it. Well, you don't say things you don't mean like that. So, number one. He's mentally challenged, so you can't hold him accountable, which is more plausible than saying that he didn't say that. And then they're going to say the transcript. So let me explain something to you people who are literally challenged and also can't understand verbal communication. When you say all I see floating around out there is non-specific. It means everything. Okay? And verbal communications, as much as you put all these people on it and talking about all these other things, it's not true. Written statements are different than verbal statements. And for those who are literally challenged, I will give you an example that I learned when I was studying these things. Written statements need punctuation. Verbal statements, it's your responsibility to articulate them. And the sentence they used was, what's on the road ahead? So if you say that quickly, does that mean there's a head in the road? If I say that verbally, I have to say it correctly. Otherwise, somebody could assume there's a head in the road. What's on the road ahead? The inflection. When you write it differently. What's in the road ahead? You can even put a comma there if you want to make sure. Ahead, not a head. Ahead. So all this bullshit that they're throwing about, the transcript said this and the transcript, brought to you by the same people who completely took a Kamala Harris answer during an interview out and replaced it with a completely different written answer. And now they're being sued over it. That's the problem with the Democrats. They're all like Coogan. They're pathological liars. And the thing that I don't care, there are a lot of liars in the world. But you know what pisses me off about them? They never, ever correct it. And they never apologize. They're still talking about the Steele. Some of them are still talking about the Steele dossier, Russian disinformation, the Hunter laptop. January 6th, they lied about everything in January 6th that's been proven. They suppressed all kinds of information, including the pipe bomb incident. But they never, ever take it back. Now with Biden, they're saying, listen, this is going to go into the archives. You can't tamper with this thing. It's too late. He said what he said. Own it. You know, that's the thing they talk about. Trump said this. They're like little children. Johnny stole a cookie too. Don't put me in jail. I only killed one person. I can show you somebody that killed 5. It doesn't make any difference. He made the statement. And if you have a modicum of ability to interpret what he said, look at the video. It's not a written statement. What's in the road? A head? What's your head? And it doesn't have a brain in it. That's what pisses me off about them. They never, ever correct anything. CBS never apologized. Now they're being sued. They didn't just alter it. They didn't start talking about apostrophes and commas and semicolons and horse shit. It was a verbal statement. If I make a statement that's confusing, it's my fault. And when I'm the president, if I was the president of the United States making a statement as disrespectful as that to the American people, I would make damn sure I articulated it clearly enough. So it's on him. So all you apologists can kiss my ass because it's not going to work. And they say, you don't want to hear the truth. No, you don't want to hear the truth. Look at your party. Look at what they've done. Look at the record. Donald Trump says what he says, and he never stops saying it. Donald Trump doesn't say, I didn't say that. He keeps saying it again and again. Does he say things about people? Yes. And he's not going to take it back. That's why people like him. He's not going to pretend because he's afraid he's going to lose a couple of votes. We got thrown off the air because we stood by what we said, didn't we, CJ?
Yes, we did.
And we didn't take it back, did we?
No, we did not. And
so
we've even been asked to come back, but we have to sign a disclaimer saying that if we say the wrong thing, we're out of there. That's a violation of my First Amendment rights.
Yeah, that whole thing is illegal. But
right.
that's the problem that pisses me off. They always they're like little children. Johnny stole the cookie too. Well, I don't care if Johnny stole the cookie. Johnny's not my kid. You're my kid. You stole the ticket. Yeah, so I just wanted to get that in because I'm glad this morning it's been revealed that it was the Biden people that tried to doctor it so it wouldn't be as damaging. But if the damage is done and the Democrats aren't going to believe, hey, he didn't mean it. Well, look, if I call somebody an asshole, I mean it. So We stand by what we say, and if we make a statement that's incorrect, the numbers are wrong, we correct it on the air, and that's the way it is. So with that, we're going to put that one to bed. They can all go jump in a lake because I don't want to. I have to deal with them on a professional basis, maybe, but I don't want to have anything to do with people who can't accept the truth and say that, look, what he said was wrong in any context. Period. As the president of the United States, you should not be calling any American garbage, let alone some idiot comedian who makes nasty jokes. So that's what he does for a living. Was it an inappropriate joke? To a lot of people it is. But Don Rickles was inappropriate all the time, and he made a great living. So nobody gives a shit about them. All they are is little whiny wokies. So I don't know what video that Steve sent you, but I don't know what discussion. But I have to get that one in because today they're all pissed off because now they don't want to put a doctored transcript into the archives. They want it verbatim what he said. And I watched it again last night, and he said it very clearly. What I see out there. He didn't say what I heard the comedian say, or certain people that support Trump or disagree with me. No, he said what I see floating out there, the garbage I see floating out there. Generalization. That means everybody. You brought everybody into the Trump supporters. Period. And he's got to live with that.
Well, thank you for joining us for Hooked on Phonics.
Yeah. Hey, that's the problem. You got to be hooked on phonics. If you're gonna start talking about things and talking about transcripts and talking about things, you got to be accurate. But the Democrats never are accurate, and when they lie, they never apologize and say we got it wrong. They still haven't apologized for the Steele dossier. They still haven't apologized for anything. The Hunter laptop. They never say, hey, look, but they knew it. See, that's the thing. They're not only pathological liars, they're inherently dishonest. They knew the Hunter laptop was his laptop. The FBI knew it, yet they still said it. The 50 idiots from the CIA who wrote that knew they were lying. But that's what the Democrats do. Lie. Just like she's lying now about Trump taking away Social Security to try to get the old people scared. Oh, he's going to wreck your abortion rights. Listen, Trump's already said, and everybody said, we all know that the Supreme Court made a ruling giving abortion back to the state. But they manipulate facts, and you know me, I'm pretty sensitive not only to the spoken word, but to the written word. So I'm not going to listen to that manure. If I write something and it's misinterpreted, well, they can misinterpret it all they want. But I normally write exactly what and I know how to write. And when I articulate something, I normally don't make a mistake. If I'm saying something derogatory, I have every intention of it being derogatory. So that's the end of that story. Next.
Well, you remember how there was a big hullabaloo about Father Jay over at St. Michael's Church?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the students of the school are making a beeline to the bishop's residence and the chancery office today to support Father Jay. But the diocese came out with a letter exposing that Father Jay allegedly confessed to sexual misconduct with an adult. Now, people are questioning if that's accurate, if it's not accurate. And is this a defense mechanism for the diocese? It's just strange that it happens on the same day that the diocese gets a new archbishop. And people have come out and said, this is how the diocese grooms people. I have a problem with the grooming comment, but I do believe that the diocese has hidden sexual abuse for many years. We've seen it. Garabedian has even come out with it. And according to unofficial statements and unofficial rumors, there are other claims of sexual abuse. So if there are other claims of sexual abuse, why isn't the diocese picking up on those? And then the diocese says, we normally don't make comments on pending investigations. We plan on having this investigation completed at the beginning of next year. How long does it take? I don't know.
Well, I think, that's the problem, CJ. And I think you really articulated it. Since we're on articulation, I think you were pretty clear. As you said, they're allegations. But the problem is that the Catholic Church and the dioceses are so sensitive because they've paid so much money out.
Right.
Over this stuff. They immediately go into self-defense mechanism as soon as there's anything levied. And, while I think any type of conduct like that by anybody, let alone somebody in the clergy, is reprehensible. But they are allegations until they're proven. Everybody has the right to due process.
Correct.
And that's the key. The key is that, listen, but the problem you have is the Catholic Church has lost hundreds of millions of dollars in lawsuits over this stuff. And they are like, soon as somebody makes any kind of allegation, it's almost that you're guilty until proven innocent. And even if you're proven innocent, you got to disappear. You're muted, see.
I said exactly.
I mean, this is and it's always a problem there. But I don't know if we want to go on that anymore. Or I don't know what video.
No, but I wanted to bring it up because it is something that's making the news. They announced it yesterday. They sent letters out to the parishioners, and it's definitely very interesting.
Oh yeah, no, I do, but it shows again that sometimes, unfortunately, yeah, Linda. Well, I mean, that's a topic that is always very inflammatory. I mean, because people there's nobody neutral on that issue. And if they say they're neutral, it means that they don't want to tell you what they feel. Yeah, well, yeah, you're right, Jeff. That, I mean, if it's abuse, like I said, this is the problem. You don't get the due process anymore because people especially when it comes to clergy, it immediately becomes oh God, here comes another lawsuit and everybody's looking for money and it's a pain in the neck. But it's unfortunate that, the whole situation is unfortunate, but people have the right to be considered innocent until proven guilty, except in politics where they should always be considered guilty. No, I'm only kidding.
Well, I'm going to tell you now, I still want to find a lawyer who'll sue the diocese because I wasn't touched. What's wrong with me?
That's right. How come? Yeah, that's right. But neither was I, but I was never an altar boy. Matter of fact, I didn't even go. I missed catechism half the time. I was in a pool room shooting pool.
So there you go.
So, but I was not and then I got busted. But then I got a good ass whipping for that because when the nun told my mother and father at mass that, is your son going to make his confirmation? He said, Yeah, of course. Why? So there hasn't been a catechism in the last year. And they went, where have you been on Saturday? And I went, I was at my godfather's store playing a pinball or in a pool room. Shoot pool. So I got an ass whipping when I got home, but I still made my confirmation. But
But we knew better than to lie, because if we lied, you get 10 times worse.
Oh yeah, no, I wasn't gonna lie. I wasn't gonna say I showed up and they just didn't. They mocked me absent, but I didn't. But yeah, in those days you didn't lie to your parents. Matter of fact, you're not like the Democrats and make commercials telling people to lie, telling women to lie to their boyfriends. Now they got Julia Roberts telling the women to lie to their husbands or boyfriends, and they got what's his that other idiot? What's the guy's name there? He made a commercial for men, telling them to lie to their wives and their friends. George Clooney. Yeah. Clooney made one, the male version. I mean, how low has politics sunk, where you have a political party running public ads telling you to lie to people who you have a very close relationship to? I mean, that's how dishonest, how inherently dishonest they are. But since we're on the election and we covered some, we're covering the questions. There's only 2 more left. So
I was going to say, it's time for us to hit the last 2 questions.
Yeah. Number 4 is limited legalization and regulation of certain new natural psychedelic substances. And this thing is long. I'm not even going to go over the whole thing. The bottom line is, this is talking about, psychedelic substances, and we got enough people that are totally, they're totally out of control now.
They're talking about magic mushrooms and stuff like that. And I've seen the effects, the long-term effects on some people who have abused those drugs. I'm not going to say that everyone's wrong, but I'm also not going to say that anybody's right. Yeah. It's kind of a weird situation. But we're looking at a fact that, will this increase drug abuse? And the reason why I say that, and I'm not talking about it like it was marijuana, I'm talking about it like it's, a psychedelic. Number one, they have no rules in this law to govern any legislation or any legalization of how the psychedelics will be handled. They have no way of governing who's going to be able to sell them, who's going to be able to grow them, who's going to be able to do any of that. Unlike marijuana, but marijuana had some changes in their law. People just want to make everything legal now. And if that's the case, do like Europe did. Legalize all drugs, all narcotics, legalize everything, okay? Take it off the hands of the drug dealers, okay? Put it in the pharmacies like it's supposed to be, and let people walk in and ask for morphine and Darvocet and everything else and not worry about what it's going to do.
But yeah, Linda, you're right about breaking down trust. But let me get back to that. You're right, CJ, because I'm looking at this, and one of the things that stuck out to me is, of course, as the politicians always do, they're going to make this into jobs for their friends. There's going to be a natural psychedelic substance commission.
Right.
So again, government over regulating and doing everything. And look, I'll just give you my personal opinion. Like you said, we've got enough impaired people walking around now. The marijuana today has been proven. The THC in the marijuana is 10 times what it used to be, and they're proving medically it's causing brain damage to people who are using it. And now you can just go get it, and they don't care.
They're also recommending that pregnant women stay away from it.
Exactly.
And I know pregnant women that are smoking.
Right. This is the Democratic liberals again saying let them do anything they want as long as we can make money off it. They're making money. We got enough impaired, delusionary people driving and walking around. Yeah, you're right, Jeff. I'm definitely voting on this. I'm not an advocate. I can understand medical marijuana for people who are in severe pain and everything else. I can see that, but recreational use of marijuana should be, if I don't agree with it. That they've proven it causes brain damage. So I mean, it should not be authorized. It's like cigarettes. They never took cigarettes off the market with all the damage it caused because the cigarette lobby has far too much money. They made them put warnings on the package, but we still got, especially in Europe. And the irony is, it's mostly in areas that have low economic people with lower economy. The percentage of smoking, you go to the affluent areas, very few of them smoke now. You go to some areas, virtually you never see anybody smoking. But when you see scratch tickets and cigarettes, go to a gateway city, you're going to see a lot of cigarettes and a lot of scratch tickets. It's unfortunate, but it's a fact. And I don't believe in legalizing this shit, and they don't care, because all they care about is the tax money and the money they're going to make. Everybody wants to open up a marijuana clinic. They're not making as much as they used to, but they're still making a lot of money. Now they're going to give you psychedelic mushrooms and all kinds of other things to make you escape reality. And I'm just not an advocate. I'm with you, Jeff, on this. I'm voting. I'm definitely. This is a hard no for me. This question, but like you said, CJ, people are going to do what they want. If they want magic mushrooms, they can go. Yeah. Yeah, but the THC gets them higher, I guess. I don't know because I can't. Yeah, no, it could. That's a very good possibility. Dumb them down and keep them high and happy because they're high. That's a very good one. Yeah, and they've done that in some places, and they've legalized that.
Some countries,
some countries have legalized it.
Yeah,
and to me, they're accessories to murder because they let people get hooked on this stuff, and they know the damage it does not only to the individuals, ultimately, but to the families. Because what happens when you got somebody that ruins their life when they get hooked on one of these drugs? I mean, we've had, it's not only the poor people that get hooked on heroin. We have people that were captains of industry, professionals and stuff that got hooked on this stuff, and their entire lives were destroyed. They end up in a street, their families broken and destroyed, bankrupt. Just look at San Francisco. It's a disgrace. But this is what Democrats like. They like a stupid, high, non-thinking society. Where can I get my next bag of marijuana? Where can I get my next magic mushroom? Life sucks so bad that I want to stay high all the time. And all the time, the movie actors and the rich billionaires are getting richer. Yeah, most of these big cities now, most of these big blue cities are. I was in Austin, Texas. I don't know how many years ago now. I went to a national retirement system seminar in Austin, Texas, and we know that Austin, Texas is a mostly red state. Austin, however, is very blue. The mayor is all Democrat. And this wasn't like yesterday. This was 5-6 years ago I was in Austin. I mean, I was horrified. I still got pictures on my phone of it. I sent pictures home. I think we talked about it on a show. I mean, I walked out of one of the major hotels because the convention was at one of the largest hotels in downtown Austin, which is, by the way, the capital. I walked out the side door to go to a restaurant. I got to my room. We had flown out to Austin, and so I got out there, and I wasn't familiar with the city, so I Googled some stuff, and I said, what restaurants are within a walking distance of the hotel? And there was one maybe 2 blocks away that got a pretty good rating. So I said, okay. And I had my GPS for walking or driving, so I GPSed it and gave me the walking route. So I went out the side door of the hotel. I walked 10 feet. There's somebody laying in the middle of the street. I had to step over him. I walked down another 5 feet. There's somebody in a doorway passed out. There were bodies all over the place. And at 2 blocks, I had seen 15 people stoned. Then when I went out for dinner that night and I got on the main drag, it was horrifying. I mean, there were literally hundreds of them out there. And I even asked one away, I said, what's going on? He said, no. He says, they just let them stay here. They don't let them go into the residential areas. The police keep them out. He said, but the police don't even bother with them. They just leave them here. The only thing they do is when you hear the ambulances coming to scrape them up when they overdose. That's tragic. Yeah. But, I mean, this is not the way our country is supposed to be. We're supposed to have some, these people, most of them have problems, psychological problems, and ones who don't, they just got addicted. We should be trying to help them get their life back on track, becoming productive again for themselves and their families. I mean, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just, maybe that's a crazy idea, but I don't think it's crazy to say that if we can send hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine, give the Taliban money, give Iran money, give everybody in the world money, give all the illegals money, but we can't spend some time trying to rehabilitate Americans and give veterans housing and give people housing who need it. No, we can't do that. This is the democratic thing. You know why? Because you know who these people are? They're the people who cling to their guns and Bibles, as Obama said. They're in the basket of deplorables. They're the irredeemables. They're the garbage. They're the people who live in public housing, who don't own a home. They're the ones that are classified as subhuman. And this is what the Democratic Party is all about. They don't want a middle class. They want rich and poor, and they want you dumb and dependent. Linda was right. There are 2 ways to control people. One is with power, police, military power. And the other one is make them stupid. The dumber they are, the easier they are to control. They'll believe anything you tell them. That's what happened. Look, it's not new. Anybody ever hear of the Dark Ages? Lasted a very long time. What was that? It was the church's attempt to take over the government. They made everybody stupid. Nobody could read or write except the clergy. And if you tried to make any scientific advancements or anything, they burned you or drowned you like they did with the witches during the Inquisition. Nobody was allowed to be educated because then you could just be a serf. No, you're right. Like I said, the families. No, you're right. You're right on target. I mean, that's the whole thing. Addiction does not just affect the addicted. It affects everybody in their universe. Their immediate family, their extended family. I mean, it's a horrible thing. And to think the trillions of dollars this country spends on everybody else except Americans, it's reprehensible. How any Democrat could ever get elected that supports this stuff is beyond me. But then again, make them dumb. They'll believe it. There are still some people that believe Hunter's laptop is Russian disinformation.
You know what the sad part about it is that addiction has no endpoint. And what I mean by that is we throw money into addiction treatment over and over and over again. And the majority of people who are treated come back. Sometimes a month later, sometimes 3 months later, sometimes 6 months later, but they come back. And they say, well, I couldn't handle the stress. I understand that. Everyone has stress. But you know what? You have a disease, if you want to call it that. Okay? And, we're dumping billions with a B, billions of dollars into treatment every single day. We are dumping in thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. We just took money out of our opioid settlement money and gave it to programs, to put teaching programs in place in the schools to teach people not to use drugs. We have enough messages. I mean, I remember, this is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. Remember that commercial?
Oh yeah, with the
egg.
The egg in a skillet.
Yeah.
Fried brain. That's right. No, but you're right, CJ. But you see, the problem is that, we all know it. And this country spent billions trying to stop it. Then they gave up. But as you said, so you hit it on the head. You're a medical professor. You understand it. It never ends.
Right.
They have a disease. But what you got to do is, once you get them off it, you have to realize that they're going to need lifelong counseling and psychological counseling and monitoring. Because the reality is, you say, wow, that'll cost a lot. Costs a lot less than sending them, as you said. These rehab facilities is, again, the rich they like this stuff. They don't want to end this. You know how much money they make in this business?
Of course.
It's like the welfare system. They never want the welfare system to end. You know how many people are associated in a welfare system and are generating income and making a lot of money off this system? They don't want, it's pretty easy to get people off welfare. I mean, I wrote a paper on it years ago in college. I used actually my buddy's Milton Friedman. I said, you want to get rid of welfare? What you do is you create a system where you give people a hand up, actually, not a handout, a hand up. You help them a little bit, then you make them go to work. Anybody on welfare that's physically capable will have to work, whether it's like the old WPA, put them to work. They got to work 40 hours a week to get a welfare. It's not a welfare check. Now they're going to be doing something. Make them, sweep streets. People who are physically or psychologically incapable of working, yes, they get assistance. Then you say, put these people into jobs. If they don't like cleaning up streets, get them into a job. And they have to work at that job. And they say, well, people go, why should I get a job? I'm going to get a minimum wage job. I'm going to make more on welfare. I do better on welfare. Well, that's where I use Milton Friedman. Milton Friedman had a concept called the negative income tax. So what you did was the government actually supplemented their income to give them a livable wage. That way they can't use that excuse that I'm better off on welfare. You require them to get off welfare. That would work. But they don't want that, because then everybody that works in a welfare system, which is a hell of a lot of people, would be out of a job. You think they want to end drug addiction? You know how much money rehab facilities cost? I remember, it was years ago, I remember seeing how much it is. Somebody went to a rehab facility down in West Palm Beach, Florida. In case you don't know West Palm Beach, it's as affluent as it gets.
Full.
Yep. And it was like like over $1,000 a day to be in that facility. I couldn't believe it. Because only reason I found that out was we were going over cost in the healthcare system. And rehabs were covered. And they were going over the numbers that we're paying for people that have to go to rehab. And it was like, holy shit. Why does it call? Oh, well, because you go to a rehab, it's giant money. But then they let you out, like you said, CJ, there's no monitoring and they're back. Because look, psychologically, if you take abnormal psychology and it tells you that some people have what they refer to as they have low coping mechanisms. They don't have really good coping mechanisms. And they are prone to being addicted to things because they really can't handle stress. And it's, not their fault. Psychologically, they just can't deal with the stress. That's the reason that most drug addicts don't get rehabilitated. That's why they need constant monitoring. But constant monitoring is cheaper than drug rehabs and all these other things that go along with it. And the fact is, they are Americans. And the reality is, if we wouldn't give all these other places and all these illegals money, why don't we use all that money we're giving to illegals to get the people off the streets of San Francisco and Philadelphia and Austin, Texas, and all the rest of the places? I don't know. Call me crazy, but I think Americans should come first.
I think so too. And you know what's interesting? And I've spoken to people who know firsthand. People who are deported from the United States that have drug problems, when they get to their countries, whether it be Portugal or England or France or wherever it may be, where the drugs are legalized, where it doesn't matter if you use it or not, they tend to bounce back and not use it. You know why? If you use it, you don't get welfare. You don't get food stamps. You don't get any of that. You know where you live? You live in the middle of town on the sidewalk, in the grass. That's where you live. They don't give you housing. Okay? They say, you want to live that way, suffer. And they don't last too long. And I know somebody personally that was deported for that. And he had to wait 10 years to get back into this country. And for the first 9 months that they were in their country, they didn't receive anything. They couldn't even buy the drugs, even though they were legal, because they didn't have the money. They didn't have anything coming up. And they were begging their family to send them money. After 9 months, they finally said, this is it. I'm done. They got a job. They got clean. They did all of that. And I'm not saying that's the way we handle it in this country, or that's the way we should handle it in this country. But
it makes a hell of a lot more sense than what we do.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're going to do that Monday because it's the tipped. We got one more day before the election. We're going to do the tipped employees because we're already getting a little short. And
no, you're right. Some people don't vote, and that's the problem. And, the state made sure you got these questions sent out via the mail.
Yeah.
They sent them to everybody. Whether you were a registered voter or not, you got the red book. That's what they call it, the red book. So
yeah, but you know what they try to do when they send these out? They try to bore you to death because like that psychedelic one, it's like 8 pages long.
I know.
And then you actually have to look at the apostrophes and the commas and stuff because you have to read it. But then again, you'd also have to have a reading level that allows you to read it. If you're a Democrat, you don't.
Exactly.
But yeah, we'll cover that one. I think that's a pretty important issue because they've already made a campaign promise, which Carmelo, of course, copied, like no taxes on tips.
Yeah, well, the thing is that if there are no taxes on tips, if you make it so they're getting a living wage, they're not going to get tips.
That's right.
Okay? And that's what the big argument is from servers.
Yeah.
And restaurants are saying the same thing because, like they said, if they have to pay living wages, and we'll get into this on Monday, but if they have to pay living wages, their food prices are going to go up. Their staffing's going to go down. It's going to hurt. One way or the other. One way or the other, it's going to hurt someone.
Yeah.
One way or the other. So we'll talk about that on Monday. Remember, this weekend, tomorrow, 2 a.m. Oh, it'll be Sunday, 2 a.m. Set your clocks back 1 hour. We're going back in time. Okay?
Oh, God.
So on Monday, we'll be dragging ass because of the time laws.
Isn't it Saturday night we put it back, or Sunday?
It's Sunday morning at 2 a.m. So it's Saturday
Sunday
night.
morning, so it's Saturday night.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll be up watching a fight, so it's either, it's going to be even worse. So.
Yep, there you go. Well, I want to thank you all for watching, and remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. Starting tomorrow, it's going to be a little bit colder, so get ready for it. Get a coat out. Have a great weekend.
We're not garbage. We're Americans.
That's right. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.